Hello and welcome to the I Am Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Vickie, and man, am I glad that you decided to click and spend a little time with me today. Today's guest is Desireah Riley. She is a licensed professional counselor out of Spring, Texas. She currently owns and operates a practice called This Time for Me. Hi, Desireah. How are you doing today?
Vickie, I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. Just trying to survive this crazy Texas weather that we just learned about.
Yes.
We just learned about it. It was literally like 80 degrees last weekend. And now we are facing thunderstorms and tornado watches and all of that.
Welcome to Texas.
Welcome to Texas. Desireah, have I told you that my oldest daughter's name is Destiny and her middle name is Ray? And I tried to nickname her Desireah, but it didn't stick.
No, I didn't know that.
I love that name. I think it's such a cute name. I was like, I should have named her Desireah. Like, why did I put those together?
That's okay. She was destined for another name.
Destined for destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, you guys, I have to tell you one of my favorite things about Desireah. My ex and I use Desireah for couples counseling. And although we are not together anymore, that has everything to do with him and not the quality of Desireah's services. It's true. But no, I just really, really loved and appreciated how easygoing you were and how fair you were during our counseling sessions. And I've told you and expressed this to you before that I feel like you're like the wise sister or cousin that you can go to and bounce ideas off of. And I felt like I could trust that you wouldn't judge me or treat me any differently and that I could be completely transparent with you. And I feel like that's so important. And so I just appreciated that level of connection so much because it made it easy for me to be vulnerable. So thank you, Desireah, for being you, and thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So let's get into it. How long have you been practicing and what made you start this?
Oh my goodness. I've been practicing, I would probably say maybe a little over 3 years. And so I started this because we relocated from California to Texas about 16 years ago. We had my oldest of the youngest children. And so I was at home with the children and kept having children. And so after the last one, I always knew that I wanted to go back to work. But I was originally a business marketing major. So I was, in corporate America, so to speak, but it didn't fulfill me. So, of course, after being home for so long, I said, okay, well, I have to go back to work. What do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to do? And so I started looking, thinking about what did I enjoy? What was I good at? And, how that translated into a possible career. And so I started thinking about it. I'm like, I like to talk. People are always telling me their problems, whether I want to hear them or not. And so I thought about it and I said, oh, okay, how does that translate? Oh, I could become a counselor, a therapist. So I enrolled in while I was, I enrolled in 2014, started my master's in counseling program at Prairie View, finished in 2017. At the time I had another child. So of
Those
course,
babies just keep on coming.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here? I thought I was gonna, start my career, but at the time, like when I was finishing my degree, I had a baby. My younger sister passed away unexpectedly. My father passed away unexpectedly, and I was, I went straight through the program, and I was like, okay, I need a break. I need to, So from 2017 to 2020, I just kind of did nothing, and then finally I realized, okay, I got to get back on track. Took my licensing exam, and here I am.
Wow, man, it is crazy how death can just completely derail you almost.
Absolutely.
And I think that when that occurs, it's so important for you to find a way, some kind of way to continue to push forward. What do you think helped you to push forward through that?
I am naturally competitive. And so I'll, in all transparency, like when I went to college initially for my, for undergrad, I was fresh out of high school, wasn't focused, didn't take it seriously. And so when you look at my transcript, it looks a little like you can spot some troubled areas. But that wasn't me, because I've always been a great student, high achiever. So looking at that transcript, it was a little disappointing. So I looked at, getting my master's as like my second chance. And for me, I'm very, very realistic. And I know this is going to sound probably, morbid, but these loved ones are dead. I'm still alive. I have a life to live. I have goals to accomplish. So I got to keep moving forward. I have to. I can use this as an excuse, and it would be a valid excuse. But I can't get the time back that I take and I stop. So I just pushed forward. But I wouldn't advise that. You do have to push forward, but it's about balance. Push forward, but give yourself the much needed break.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a pretty, wow. Girl, you are strong. I'm like, you are so strong. but I'm sure you probably hear that and you're like, okay, like, because I know because people have told me that I'm strong, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's strong or if it's because that's what I have to do. And when you have children, you just have to keep going. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. So Desireah, you also have, a lot of experience with helping clients with addictions, relationship issues, family conflicts, coping with grief and loss. Have you noticed any of those issues becoming more common than others since you started your practice?
I will say the addictions comes up, and it's not the typical substance abuse addictions that we typically think of when we think of addictions. That is becoming more prevalent. And the couples work, the couples issues. I am not a licensed marriage and family therapist. That was not, even a specialty I even considered. But I find myself with more couples than more individuals.
Maybe,
Yeah.
it could. Well, I was one of them couples. No, but do you think that it could be because COVID has changed things, the dynamics of relationships, and maybe it's kept more people at home and in the house and around each other, and things are maybe coming up?
For sure. I definitely, I mean, we can definitely attribute, this to COVID, and the fact that, I think these problems have always existed, but wanting to and actually seeking help for those issues outside of trying to resolve them themselves, that's what COVID really brought out. And so now we're just, it's out in the open, whereas before they were trying to resolve these conflicts and these issues for years inside the home.
By themselves.
And they finally realized that, this is not working. And it's okay for us to go seek help. Otherwise, we're going to have even bigger issues.
Yeah. Do you think that people, since COVID, do you think that people have become more open to the idea of therapy and counseling?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think so too. I can speak for myself in this, that for my own experience, that when COVID came, I think I was faced with a lot of things that I didn't realize about myself. And therapy has been my best friend. I've been in therapy probably since COVID started, if not a little even before that. Well, definitely before, but intensely post-COVID. Yeah. I think having the opportunity to sit alone with yourself, or not necessarily have the common distractions that we're used to having, and really sitting with those crazy thoughts that come into your head, and maybe recognizing that you're not controlling those thoughts, is really what can just speak for myself. But that's what pulled me towards therapy for sure. I highly recommend to anybody and everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think more people, when normal people started to show signs of not being well, that's when everyone else said, okay, wait, we have a problem. Mm-hmm. And then it was okay, because if these normal people are having issues, then definitely these other people, are too.
No, for sure.
It's kind of, it's very weird.
For sure. So let me ask you your opinion about something, because we had in our pre-interview, we touched on something that you feel is like so important. And I want you to share that with us. So I'll ask you, Desireah, what do you think is the most important internal quality that a person should focus on, or should focus the most attention on within themselves?
I would say self-love, but I know the answer to this question. Focusing on their positive self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why? And please, share and elaborate, because you really blew my mind with some of the points that you had around self-esteem, and how it is all intertwined to all different types of aspects of our life that we may not have even realized.
Yes, I think the analogy that I use is your self-esteem is to your being, like your core is to you when you exercise. And those of you who exercise, can relate to this. They say if you have a strong core, then you can do all the exercises properly and, get the maximum benefit. I think that's what they say anyway. And your self-esteem acts as that for you as a person. It dictates how you treat yourself, how others treat you, how you interact with other people. It just, when you get to the root cause of most of the problems, if you keep digging and digging and digging, you will find that a fractured self-esteem is at the root cause of most issues. So my theory is, if you do what you can to repair your self-esteem and have a healthy, positive self-esteem, not that you won't have any problems, because that is not true. But I think you'll be better equipped to handle most problems. And you'll see that some of the problems that you are experiencing, if you had a healthier self-esteem, they probably wouldn't even be an issue.
Do you think that self-esteem, okay, because you just said that it affects so many different things. Have you seen it affect people in relationship dynamics? I'm sure, right? And they probably don't realize that self-esteem is a part of the issue? Absolutely.
Yes. I have this, I tell this story in counseling, and I tell mainly to couples, but I say that we all have these vivid imaginations, and we're all creative writers. And what I mean by that is that
I am very creative.
Yes.
Girl, let me tell you, this morning, whenever I was getting ready, I was telling myself all types of stories, and I was even acting it out in the mirror. And I was like, hey, Vickie, you got to stop this shit. This is weird. It is weird. I don't know where it comes from, but I think it's I try to play things out in my head before they've even happened. You do that too?
Sometimes, but it's not healthy. It is not healthy. Because when you do that in a relationship, you ask a question, or there's a situation, and when you don't get the answer you want, or don't get an answer at all, your imagination starts going, and that creative writer starts penning this story. You ask your mate, you say, hey, let's sit down and talk about XYZ, and you see a sigh. All of a sudden, that sigh, instead of you asking, what was that sigh about, to get the answer and be done, you see the sigh, and that creative writer says, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me. He doesn't care about how I feel. It just spins out of control. And next thing you know,
Wow.
you are pissed off and you are mad because of that sigh. And he's sitting right there. You could have asked him, but you
See, this
didn't.
is why I like you, Desiree. You literally are telling my story.
Oh,
You-
I'm sure I'm not. Hey, don't say that because then that's me breaching confidentiality. Most people it's not really your story. It just
it's not.
your story.
Exactly. This is just like, it feels like my story.
Thank you. I'd like to keep my license a little bit longer, please.
But it's so funny. But
So,
yes, go.
but if you, so, and that happens often and it happens, even without you even trying. It's not like you say, oh, I want to piss myself off and make up this, fictitious story. It just happens. But if you, had a healthy self-esteem and, you had a little more confidence, and we'll talk about that later, you would just ask. You wouldn't automatically assume that it's about you or that you did something wrong. You realize, like, it's not about me. He's high. That's his problem. Let me ask him. What's so wrong with asking somebody that's sitting 2 feet from you? What was that sigh about? And he'll tell you, oh, I just, maybe he'll be honest and say, I really don't feel like talking about this. But it could just be that. He doesn't feel like talking about it. Not that it's anything about you. So, yeah, the self-esteem, it kind of, it goes into all these areas, again, how you interact with other people, how you feel about yourself, how you allow other people to treat you.
And you know what? And now that you've broken that down, I just thought about how it affects your willingness to be vulnerable too.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my goodness. Like, because when you said that, when you gave that example, I just thought, like, okay, well, why would I feel like that? Or if I was in that situation, why would I have felt like that? And it would be because of me, or why wouldn't I feel comfortable rather asking that question? And my personal answer would be because I don't know if I would be comfortable feeling vulnerable to do that, to receive that answer. Because what if it is what I thought it was, But
Exactly.
I think that, yeah. Yeah, but those are the answers that we are after. So I don't know why we have to be afraid to receive them.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we're in therapy, girl.
The free session.
Oh my gosh. So what do you think are some good ways for people to practice self-esteem?
I think you have to spend some time with and by yourself. A lot of times we run from ourselves. Let me just tell you how that ends. You can't run from yourself. You can't. I think we've all tried it. If you've been successful, please let me know. You can't run from yourself. So I think you need to spend some time with and by yourself and just getting to know yourself. Especially, as women and mothers and wives and girlfriends, we wear many hats and we spend a lot of time caring for the needs of others. And very rarely do we spend time, or enough quality time, caring for our own needs. You can ask women, hey, what are some of what are your hobbies, or what do you do, for enjoyment? And most of them can't tell you. And it's not because they don't enjoy anything. It's just because they rarely have time for things that they enjoy that are independent of, husband, kids, everything else. So I think if you have a good self-care routine, and it doesn't have to be, extravagant where, oh, you're going out to the spa and all that. I mean, something as simple as sitting there polishing your nails, something that's just specifically for you. So a good self-care routine, spending time with them, by yourself, like looking at who you are. What do you really enjoy? Things you don't enjoy. Just really getting to know yourself. Because I think when you get to know yourself, and then focusing on your positive qualities, when life beats us up and we tend to forget about all the great things that we've done and, what a badass we've been, at times. So when you can remind yourself of that, it gives you, it makes you feel good. and it increases that positive self-esteem. So I think when you get to know yourself and get to love yourself, people will see that. It'll radiate. And in turn, you will create boundaries that will protect that person. So it's really just taking time to focus on you.
Wow. That's great. That's great advice. When you mentioned focus on the positive qualities of yourself, one thing that I recently did, because I went back to college, I had children very early, and I've been in and out of school because my focus was my children and trying to provide for my kids. And I ended up going back to school, finally got my degree, and the first thing I did was put it away. And I'm like, why would I do that? And so I brought it. I don't know, girl. I told you, so it's a bunch of stories in here. So I recently, though, I brought it out, and I brought out my other professional culinary certificate that I got because I'm a trained chef.
Oh, wow.
So I brought that out. I didn't tell you that.
No.
I can cook you anything. I'm not, and you know, like people are always like, oh, you little, can you really cook? Little people love to eat.
They just eat the right thing so it doesn't stay in one place.
But no, but yeah, I'm a trained chef, and I completed my bachelor's degree, and I got that degree, and I've done both of those things in the last like 5 years, but I hadn't taken the time to celebrate myself. I know. And it really, and I think that it really comes down to exactly what we're talking about. It comes down to self-esteem. And so now I've brought those degrees out, and they're sitting on my dresser, and I look at them every day, and they're next to my vision board, and they're next to these other inspirational books that I read. And I feel like when I see that, it just reminds me that of how capable I am. So a lot of people will think, oh, like, you know, what's the importance behind getting a degree? And this morning, it kind of popped in my head. Well, it was important for me to get this so I have a physical representation and a reminder that I'm capable of setting a goal and achieving it. And here is my proof. So I can definitely speak to that for sure.
Get it off the dresser and on the wall, please. You can make a copy
Yes, ma'am.
on the vision board, but you need to put that on the wall where it's visible not only to you, but to your children and to whoever comes in your house. That is, you know, it's a great reminder for you, but you know what? That's a great accomplishment. To, you know, a degree and I don't even know what a culinary certificate entails, but I would envision a lot. But the two of those within 5 years.
Yeah.
A major
Thanks,
accomplishment.
girl. Thank you. I think that sometimes for us, as women, we put so many expectations on ourselves especially when it comes to, having children, and even for the women that don't have children. I mean, like I said, I had my kids very young, so I don't even know I had my kids at 19, my first child at 19. So I don't even know what it's like to have an adult life without having someone rely on me. But I'm sure that there are other young women who, you know, I kind of lost what I was saying, but anyways, yeah. So I think that it's important to definitely take the time to celebrate yourself, because I did not always do that. So, and I'm learning to do it now. So yeah, that's great advice, Desiree. So let me ask you now, what does success then look like to you?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Because it's different for everyone. And I like to, and let me tell you really quickly too, I like to ask that question because I want my audience to understand that everyone has a different idea of what that looks like. And you shouldn't measure your success by someone else's meaning or idea of success. And that it's important to also have like an idea of what that looks like to you so you can stay true to you.
Absolutely.
And focus on you and your path.
You're correct. And you shouldn't, I think someone told me the other day, comparison is the thief of joy. And And it's true when you think about it. Anytime you compare yourself, you're never going to measure up. So you definitely shouldn't compare like your success to someone else's success or perceived success, because those definitions might not even be the same. But to me, I think success is it's kind of a feeling, feeling accomplished and feeling good about what you're doing, and being, recognized, appreciated, and compensated for it. Because I'm not going to, I was a business major. Let me not act like money is not important.
Give me my bread.
So I think we live in this world where nothing is free. So I can't pretend like, the financial aspect of it doesn't exist. So I think it's just a combination of, when you feel good about what you're doing, you're making a difference. People appreciate what you're doing and you're being compensated for it. That's success.
Nice. Okay. And one last question. Okay. What is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you were, I don't know, at any point of your life, maybe at a pivotal point in your life where you feel like, I wish I would have known this?
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say, to believe in myself. That I'm, smarter and more intelligent than I give myself credit for. Because you see that when you look back at a lot of the poor choices that have been made, it's usually because you don't believe in yourself.
Wow. Yeah. And you're taking someone else's word for who you are to be your truth.
Exactly. It's like,
wow,
someone's giving you advice and, telling you what to do with your life, and you're trusting what they say and following what they're saying above what you even think and feel. And, in addition to believing myself, assert myself, don't be afraid to speak up for myself. Along with that, you look at a lot of times where you kind of just went with the flow. And you're like, I really didn't like that. I didn't like that flow, but you didn't speak up either. So you have to deal with it.
Wow. You know what? And I think that goes right back to self-esteem.
It does. It does.
It really does. Because if you lack confidence or self-esteem in yourself in order to assert yourself, to say no, that's not who I am, or this is who I am actually, then you will leave yourself open to those circumstances or events to where you are then led astray from who you really are.
Exactly. Or you lose yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. This was such an awesome conversation, Desireah. Oh my gosh. I want to thank you so much for being here. And I absolutely love what you said about making sure that you have a hobby. And as far as build the building blocks for self-esteem, making sure that you have a hobby, self-care, and it not having to be elaborate, but just taking care of yourself and spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself, focusing on the positive qualities about yourself. I think that those are all beautiful golden nuggets of information that all people, women, men, everyone,
absolutely,
can definitely benefit from. So
definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Desireah, of course, I'm so happy that you, I got a little too excited. I'm so happy that you agreed to come on the show today.
No,
would you mind sharing your information with us and tell us where we can find you?
So you can find me, you can call me 346-298-5039. You can email me at Desireah, DESIREAH @thistimeforme.com. The website is up, but it's under construction, but it's thistimeforme.com. And I do accept insurance. But I also, I mean, I have a heart for this, so I am, willing to help as best I can. So please reach out. I do both virtual and in-person counseling here in the state of Texas in spring.
Nice, nice. Okay, well, you guys, I want to thank you all for joining us today. This is Vickie and Desireah, encouraging you to love everything, everyone, and most importantly, yourself. Thank you guys and take care.